Slight angle.
Ah, yes. Yes, there we go.
Phenomenal.
Whoa.
Okay.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys. We're telling our followers that you've started a live video. I dressed like it was gonna be 80 again today.
I dressed pink.
You did. I like your pink. You have a little piece of lint. Can I get it?
Yeah, go.
Bam!
Bam!
It's gone.
Off the pink.
Killed it. Off the pink. Gray's off the pink.
And so, welcome to another episode of Tequila's Tuesdays, Figgity Fam.
Hi, guys. How are ya? Hi, Chef Matt. What's up? Hey, look. Our glasses match your outfit.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's pretty cute. Wasn't even intentional.
How is everybody today?
What's up? What's up, guys?
Hi, fam, who are joining. So, Erin, you want to get this show on and popping? Mm-hmm. You want to get it on and popping? We
have this whole list of new questions that we've got to add to the poll, but we haven't done it yet. So there's like 4 in there.
Right. Okay.
Sure.
Alrighty. As I unravel, as I whop for drama.
Whop.
Whop. Okay. What goes into a brand guide?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's an amazing one. Absolutely. Do you want to take this first? Well,
stuff about your brand goes into the brand guide. Kidding. So a brand guide is usually a document that outlines the codes that your brand abides by. So things like fonts, things like specific color callouts.
Yeah.
The way that all of these things should be used. And sometimes a style or a brand guide will also outline verbiage.
Yeah.
Like the type of copy that should be written, where certain things should be, like for differences in web versus print, right?
Right.
A lot of the big brands that I've worked with too, like Amtrak or the Navy, they have these very specific, their brand guides are like this, they're massive, they're inches and inches thick, and it details every single logo usage. Like if you're going to use the logo in a promotional piece on the web for this much money, you have to use it exactly this way. It has to be aligned left. It has to be the gold version, not the blue version, all of this stuff. So it can get really detailed. So people like us, part of why we work on those jobs is because we're experienced in reading those brand guides and using them. It's kind of, like its own little world. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And the other reason the brand guides are important is because we get clients who, for example, let's talk about startups, right? Startups, they might not know how to brand themselves to be successful. You know what I mean? One of the most obvious ones for me is anything related to food. Like I had a client who he wanted like black and neon stuff for his food thing. And I'm like, okay, well, black and neon could be cute if you could spin it, but black and neon isn't really how people are putting themselves out there. You know what I mean? If you look at all the websites and like all the social media and all the pictures that are taken, like they're not black and neon theme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when it comes to food, your brand guide should be able to say something like the food needs to look like this. It has to have proper lighting. It has to have these colors and things like that. You know what I mean? Because pictures of salads are taken way differently than pictures of pastas.
Yes.
Number 1, number 2.
Yes.
The website, you know what I mean? The construction of the website, which is going to be like the make or break point for everybody who's like searching you online. Because remember, fam, people aren't just like Instagramming you at first. People are Google mapping you. People are searching you, binging you.
They're finding you on Yelp.
Or Linux, whoever are those people. I don't know who those people are, but they're on the scene.
So as far as you bring up a good point about the color.
Yeah.
And also like restaurant. So, I mean, this goes all the way into branding, but so we did. Hey, Kent. Oh my gosh. Kent, meet Chris. Chris, meet Kent Stones. Kent Stones was the first data guy I ever worked with.
Oh, wow.
Back 4 years ago when I started the company. Oh, BT Dubs, guys, my company turns 4 so the LLC doesn't officially turn 4 because I LLC'd recently, but the company in and of itself in this form turns 4 in 5 days.
You know what? Now that you bring it up, mine also turns 3 in this month. Aha!
Yes. Yes. And we didn't die. We haven't starved.
Right.
No one's kidnapped us because of our non-payment of hard money loans. I mean,
I kidnapped because of non-payment of money loans.
So do I. Anyway, I feel like we're winning.
All
right. Brilliant data guy. Yes, you are. You are brilliant, Ken. By his own admission, he is. No, I'm kidding. But that brings up a good point. So your colors, as much as you may really, really, really love that neon, right? Because I really love neon. I have neon all over my website. But if you're in a food space, right, I can get away with it because I'm artsy fartsy and my company is in the marketing world. If you're in the food space, you need something that's appealing to the types of customers that you want to pull in. And it's the same for any type of business. So what does the brand guide do for you? It keeps you on track. Yeah. But what does it do for you with your clients?
Yeah, what it does for me with my clients is it helps establish expectations, not only for me, but like for our interns as well. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you guys will have to pass off things to your interns and employees. Sometimes we'll have to pass things off to our intern employees. There are a lot of people who are not involved in the initial conversation about like, what's going to be posted, how long it's going to be posted, you know what I mean, the strategy behind it. And a lot of people are kind of going, by the grace of the wind with everything. And at least if you have a brand guide, you have an established rule book of expectations that people need to be following in the event that things get displayed wrong. They have something to reference. You know what I mean? It's really just for references' sake. And references are important because it's very easy to go off the track because you get inspired. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Erin says all the time, like, this is not a passion project. We're not going based off of what we really love, what we really think is going to make it. You know what I mean? Our opinions and such. Like, our data is saying, like, hey, this works for the industry. You need to be doing this by these guidelines. I understand you like the neon blue, but you're like a yoga instructor. Like how much neon is going to be in the yogas? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It made me think of this weekend I had portraits taken again, or I had my headshots taken again. Thank you, Jim Lee Photography. And part of that, when I was going through them, I was like, it's funny, right? Because it's the same across the board. You really need to talk to your audience with everything you do, right? It's not just, it's not a passion project. Like, it's not in it. You're not in it to make you feel good. You're in it because it's your business. And as hard as that is sometimes, because you're like, oh, but I love this, or I love this color makes me happy. It's like, that's great. And you can start out with that for sure, right? You start by just with the sheer passion around what you're doing, right? And the excitement. But at some point you got to start reevaluating. Like, I'm moving more toward, I started out with all the crazy. I started out with all the fun, right? All the fun colors, but I'm definitely moving more toward branding that establishes more trust visually, right? Is still expressive of that creative side of the company, because that's really what people are coming to us for, but it's part of what we sell, right? But the branding in and of itself now is much more about trust. And I would say, for me, if I were to turn that question around a little bit, so what does it do for me and my clients? Well, I think more importantly, like, what does it do for you and your clients? What a style guide does ultimately, or a brand guide does, is it establishes loyalty. Branding establishes loyalty. It establishes customer loyalty. It establishes a customer following, because you're creating a community and a culture around what you're doing, right? And there's all of these terms flown, or they create a culture around your brand, right? Like company culture. It's like, but what does that really mean? They're buzzwords, but what do they mean? Basically, people come to you and they know that they can trust what you do because it's consistent and because you're transparent. That's the whole thing behind social media, is you're establishing transparency and you're establishing loyalty. thereby creating a community. And there's all kinds of research that you can Google on this, but one of the best ways to do that is to be consistent in your visuals, right? So that's where the style guide comes in, being consistent in your colors, your shapes, and the way that you present them.
Yeah, and you know what? It's really great that she says that, because one awesome example I could think of is the dog walking company WAG.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you know what? WAG's colors are just that green and white.
Yeah.
Simple as can be.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know a WAG dog walker when you see a WAG dog walker, right? And WAG dog walkers have all of these WAG swags. And you know, we identify each other. I used to do the WAG.
Oh, that's so fun.
You know what I mean? I still had my t-shirt or my bandana, you know what I mean? We was out here wagging, you know what I mean? And but like the thing is
literally,
that
would you walk and wag?
The dogs would. And so,
like, if I did that, I would walk and wag. Just because I could, I would wag.
And so I bring them up just because like, it's one of those things that, because that's their branding, we could quickly identify each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is what you guys want to do with your branding. You want people to be able to quickly associate, to quickly identify. Like, you know a Nike when you see a Nike. You know some Adidas when you see some Adidas. You know Amtrak when you see Amtrak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no confusion. And going back to the whole thing about expectations and establishing, you know, you need to establish familiarity.
Yes. And I think, so with that, because a lot of people will be like, yeah, but they're Nike. Yeah, but they're Whole Foods. Yeah, but they're whatever, right? Like, I'm never going to I don't even want to get to that level. I don't want to scale to that. I'm just me and my little company and, right, and blah. And I heard a colleague say that the other day. It was just like, well, but it's just that, except that we all have a circle. We all have a space, right? I can tell you this firsthand, the work that we do in hospitality, the work that we do for our travel clients, right? They have a very specific market, and that market is international, but it's really quite closed. That, you know, it's not the people that they deal with day in and day out. A lot of my clients have known these people for 20 years. So the expectation is really high as to the quality and the consistency, right? It has to be very on point, and it has to be really consistent. And it is this same market. And just because it's small doesn't mean it's not lucrative. There's a ton of money flowing through these markets, right? There's a ton of income. There's more than enough for everybody. But it has to be very specific.
Right.
And you need to be identifiable, and you need to have that name and that branding, that visual presence established.
For sure.
Even if you're not a Whole Foods or a Nike, it's still, this is like it's a very big concept that a lot of people kind of walk past, because they don't think it's important, or because they're old school and they feel like maybe this is just some, you know, I've had my business for 30 years. I don't need to blah, 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 right?
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, if you had your business for 30 years, then people should be able to identify. You know what I mean? You should be slapping logos on things. You should be slapping, like, using your community presence to your advantage. Because that's the thing everybody forgets about. Social media is socializing. And part of the big parts of socializing on social media is building a community, establishing a presence, and maintaining that presence throughout everything that's going on. You know what I mean? And going back to what you're saying about, like, even though they've been around for so and so long, you know, businesses can still be established and declining. And I think that's something that people forget. Like, just because you're established does not mean you're absolved from the possibility of declining because people don't know where you are. You know what I mean? You can see all the businesses out there with, like, established since 1928, established since 1964, established. And then it's kind of like, okay, well, you don't really look like a community staple. You just kind of look like you can pay rent for longer than you need to at this point. You know what I mean? Like, let's think about the businesses who kind of, like, are up and coming and popular with people, and then the businesses that have just been around. You know what I mean? Just because you've been around doesn't mean you've been popping.
You're not active.
You
just hang a plaque on the door.
It's kind of like the grandma that sits in the lounge chair all day. Like, she's there, but she ain't moving.
Hey, that's my retirement plan, okay? Jeez. I'm going to be that old lady in the lawn chair who's just, like, drunk on high all the time and screaming at children to get off of her lawn. Children that aren't actually there.
You know, that's if we have lawns, because global warming.
I'm planning on really, I mean, that's like the idyllic lifestyle. Really, I might just be on a sailboat in the middle of the ocean. I don't know what I would do at the age of like 99 or whatever, because I'd be a little frail.
You know what? You can spend your life trying to find Amelia Earhart.
I could.
That would be amazing. That's what someone needs to make a documentary out of.
Don't you think she's probably dead by now, though?
Well, I mean, the queen isn't, and I feel like she's been around longer.
It's possible. We should look this up.
Yeah.
I don't know these time frames. I just know the names. Is that bad? You might try one more. What time is it? Oh, we have something to announce too. So we're going to start having guests.
Yes.
So because vaccines.
Right.
So next week we're going to be having Amanda Silva on the podcast, or on the show. I said podcast because she has a podcast. She is the owner, operator, creator of Hello San Pedro podcast. So I'm really excited to have her on. And in true Erin and Chris style, we're going to be completely all over the place.
Absolutely.
And slightly unprepared and slightly drunk.
Just like how you like us.
Yeah. So don't expect like exciting, well thought out questions. But it will be exciting nevertheless, because we're just going to like get in. We're not going to really research people. We're just going to get in there. And then 2 weeks after that, we have Leslie Smith coming in. She is our favorite PR gal.
Absolutely.
So she's going to be with us talking about some of the things she does. I'd really like to talk to her about her long-term marketing strategies.
Yeah.
Because I actually talked to her yesterday. And one of the things I was saying was like, Chris and I mean, it's like fly by the seat of your pants in our business, like it's just constantly, we do stuff months in advance sometimes, but it's constantly changing.
For sure.
So it's like, even if we plan it months in advance, it's like, we're trying to pivot with it, every couple of days. So I was like, how do you so I would love to talk to her about that, because I feel like it's necessary and helpful, but it's just it's not what we do. So that's the goal of this, having guests on. So we're trying to find people who do things and have experience in areas that we don't, but are still marketing professionals and have some knowledge to drop.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, while we answer this question, if you guys have time, I would love to answer some of your guys' questions if you have any. So
yes, please.
While we answer this one, do take a moment to throw something in the chat so we can get back to you.
That lighting over there is really good.
Oh, yeah?
I think we should just carry beauty dishes around with us wherever we go. Maybe we should just place like 10
You know what? We could be like Meg
wall.
the Stallion and have a glam squad.
Yeah.
That's what I need to bring our interns here for.
Can we apply, like put a position out there for a glam squad intern?
Yeah.
Can they just...
The clout.
It came so fast. The answer came so fast. And you knew what I was going to say.
I am so down. Specifically glam squad people. I'm doing it for internship credit. It's happening.
I love it.
I need it.
Oh my God. It's got to happen. Oh, hot damn.
I like both hot and damn.
What was the biggest challenge starting your business? Hi, friendly pirates.
Oh my goodness.
Oh Lord. Okay, you want to go first? Because there were so many. I'm having trouble choosing.
The biggest challenge for me in starting my business was, so it's actually two things. So number one, it was really hard for me to generate support because for some reason, like people's attention with me is just like, they see me do something interesting and they're like, yeah, sounds like something he'd do. And then there's no like further investment into it. You know what I mean?
They're used to you blowing their minds. So they're like, oh.
You know what I mean? And so like, what I told my mom is I was like, I often feel like I'm put on the fridge about everything. You know what I mean? Because they're like, oh, that's you did this cool thing, put it on the fridge. Oh, you did this, put it on the fridge. Yeah. Or kind of like I have an audience where everybody's just like clapping and leaving, but nobody's like invested into the whole thing. You know what I mean? The second thing is that I had like no money, no startup money. I didn't take out loans. I didn't get any SBA
You and me
loans.
both.
Yeah, we're doing this straight out of our pocket.
Yeah, I had no savings either.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so it was really difficult because I like now that I have the money to afford the programs that I have, if I had those programs when I started, I would be like millions of miles ahead.
Yeah, but you didn't. You had to hack it.
Yeah, and so I had to like, even now, I still have like all my free trials to things. I'm still creating all my fake emails, running up my 7 days, you know what I mean? And I always tell everybody, I'm a businessman, not a bank.
Yeah, which comes to the, I mean, it really, you start to realize how true that saying is, that it's not about making money, it's about holding on to it, right? I mean, it's like, or it's not, it is about making money. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much you can hold on to. Yeah. And you learn that really quickly. That's interesting. I would like to ask you more about that at some point.
Absolutely.
Kind of like being put on the, you know, like, oh, cool, bye. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know. Well, the truth is, it's hard because that's like your 15 minutes, right? So it's coming constantly as a business owner because it's in this community or that community or this group or that group. Yeah. You're like, oh, cool. And then, But I mean, to be real, like, unless you're getting the funding to keep creating on that level, right? It is just like a flash in the pan. That's part of what's so hard about what we do. Yeah. Okay. My hardest, the most difficult thing about starting, I would say right now, what comes to mind is that I don't think I learned what I was selling. I don't think I understood what I was selling. I come from a sales background, right? Sales as well as marketing and production. I've been in all of them since I was pretty young. I don't really think I understood the product that I was selling until I was like 2 years in, because I was selling it, right? I mean, I was doing it, like, but I didn't understand what the business was. Like, I was so worried about making ends meet for so long, which is legitimate. I mean, I don't feel guilty or like regret it, you know, because I think I had to go through this process and some of this struggle for myself. And some of the struggle, not all of it, but some of it, in order to figure this out. But I think that, I didn't really understand the full capacity of what I was selling until maybe year 2. And then I was like, oh, this is the ticket, right? Yeah. I think the other big thing is that I come from video production background. And in our background, unless you're doing an episodic television series, everything that you do is a one-off. Yeah. Right? You make a movie, you make a documentary, you make a this or you make a that. In the smaller sense, you make an industrial film for someone, right? Which is what I came from in DC. Or you make a brand video for someone. And then maybe those clients are recurring and you get them for 4 or 5 of those projects a year. But very rarely do you have like a retainer business. And I worked for one client who had a bunch of retainers, big companies, right? You all would know what they are. And when I finally was in, like, I was running it, I was running my business based on one-offs until about a year and a half in. And I was like, oh crap, I got to figure out how to make video into a retainer. Yeah. Right. And that's really when things started opening up for me and working. But until then, you know, it's really hard. It's really hard to support yourself even, much less run a company based on one-off projects. So especially in this economy. So I would say, those two things work hand in hand. But those were the hardest things about starting. Yeah. And now, but it's funny because you like, when you first start out, it's all about just like making enough to cover your monthly nut, right? Making enough to survive. It's about survival. And now, like, once you get past the survival stage, you think you're going to be fun. Like, you think you're going to be so much more relaxed, you know, like you're just like, okay, if I can just like, and a huge amount of that like unsafe feeling is taken away, right? Hi, Angel. Oh my gosh. How are you? I haven't seen Angel in forever. Angel and I used to shoot for Angel. I used to shoot wedding videos for Angel. Oh. And Angel would shoot wedding videos on film, actually. He would shoot them on Super 8 and Super 16. It was pretty cool. We did some epic stuff together. He did epic stuff. I was like the third camera in the background. Like I was like a baby shooter. I was like, wait, what am I supposed to be looking at? I think that, you know, it's funny because the challenges, like when you're first starting out, you're just responsible for yourself and you're just responsible for like figuring that out, right? But
Yeah.
as you move forward, all of a sudden, like if everything goes down, you're responsible for other people's incomes now too. And you're responsible for your office and you're responsible for, right? You're responsible for this show that people actually watch. And you're like very grateful for this, but you're also like, oh my gosh, like the whole level, it just, the ante is upped, you know? So it doesn't necessarily, it's a different kind of stress. But don't get me wrong.
That part.
I'm happy I'm surviving. That makes me, you know, not worrying about eating is a lovely thing.
Yeah.
It's a really lovely
that
thing.
part. Well, that's about all we have for you guys today.
We have commitments at 6.
Yeah, we do.
Which we're going to show up slightly tequila drunk for.
Oh, absolutely. I'm already done, you know.
I'm not.
You know.
But I might have drank a little bit before we got here. Because Chris made our drinks and then we sat down and we were getting work done and I might have gotten through part of the drink.
You know, this is how we get through our days nowadays. Lip, sit, brush.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Come next week with our first guest, Amanda Silva. Bye.
Bye.